anybody bring a guest they would like to introduce? No guests? Okay, we're going to move on to some announcements. Mr. Huddleston, you want to come up and fill us in?
Good morning. So, two announcements for community service. The first one, if you noticed in this week's newsletter, on February 12th at the Adelia Library from 1:30 to 3:30, we're going to have a community service project. We're asking for hopefully 10 to 12 members. Bring family if you would like. And the library has some projects that they're asking for help on. So we've got some workstations to assemble, some shelves to assemble and move, also some tables and chairs and stuff in the auditorium. So just a little laundry list of things they need to get done. So if we could get 10 to 12, for now it's just going to be just an offer. I haven't thought about a sign-up sheet, but we'll see.
We'll get a sign sheet.
Okay, we'll do a sign-up sheet. And then second, the community grant program starts on Monday. So I know all you guys are, men and women are active in other organizations. Please feel free to reach out to those guys, put the word out that we are opening the application process for any kind of project, opportunity, activity that they would like to apply for the community grant. So if you got any questions, reach out to me. For the application process, hit the website, and there's an email on the website to submit applications. This opens up Monday and will go through March 10th. So if you got any questions, please reach out. That's it. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brian. Any other announcements from the floor? Once, going twice. All right, Mr. Trefone, if you want to come up and introduce our guest this morning, we'll get started.
Good morning, Lake Highlands.
Good morning.
Before I introduce today's speaker, we're going to play a little pop quiz game. I love pop quiz games. So, let's start with an easy one. Who won the 2022 World Cup?
America. Not a good answer.
I appreciate the enthusiasm.
Argentina.
There we go. Who did they beat?
The from.
All right. Who's hosting the 2026 World Cup? And
North America.
Jerry.
here we go. And how many host cities are there? See, Rick, people do see and read the newsletter. So with that, I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Her name is Monica Paul, and she's the Executive Director at the Dallas Sports Commission. She and her organization are responsible for helping bring amateur and professional sporting events to Dallas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we have a lot of really exciting events coming up over the next several years. Most notably is the 2026 World Cup. And she's going to come speak today about how, a little bit about the Sports Commission, but also about how they were able to get Dallas as a host city.
Yeah.
So, Monica, please come up.
All right.
Thank you, Nathan. Well, it's definitely an honor to be here, and I'm impressed of the knowledge that y'all have on soccer and World Cup. That's pretty good. So I've been here in Dallas. December was 14 years. Many people probably are unaware that we even have a sports commission, but basically our arching goal is to bring sports events into the city and into the region to a certain degree that have a positive economic impact on our tax base. So bringing in tourists here, participants, fans, and that can span anything from youth sporting events. So we just had a big cheerleading event. If you've ever been downtown, in certain instances at the end of February, we'll have 65,000 cheerleaders and parents here that stay in our hotels, eat in our restaurants, shopping, those types of things. In addition to the youth side of things, collegiate sports, so anything from basketball, college football, we do some college golf. This coming March, we're hosting our second NCAA Women's Final Four, and not only Division I, but Division II and III championships along with that over at the American Airlines Center. We do a lot of professional and international sports. So we host the next tour every year. It's the only partnership between a NFL team, MLS team, and a sports commission from a city standpoint that's out there. So we really want to try to make that Mexican national team feel at home here in Dallas and grow that. But generally, we host about 70 to 85 events a year. And, you know, I named some of the larger ones, but, you know, it could be climbing, it could be arm wrestling, it could be, we have Vex Robotics World Championships. It's basically the Super Bowl of robotics and really focuses on STEM education that'll take place in May. We just hosted the World Food Championships, obviously the Dallas Marathon, which is an annual event. And to that tune, we generate about, well, this past year, almost $600 million in economic impact from a city standpoint. So something over 1 million attendees coming in just for sporting events. That's not entire region-wide. That is really Dallas focused when we report those numbers. So I have a very small but mighty team, and a little short-staffed because of COVID. So we're just kind of bouncing back there, but very proud of kind of where we've brought the Sports Commission and what we do. In addition to the economic impact, one of our other goals is really to establish Dallas as a premier sports destination. I'm excited. There's going to be some news coming out in March for the Sports Business Journal that's really going to, I think, even further enhance what we already do, but really looking to position Dallas as that premier sports destination, both locally, regionally, nationally, but then also internationally, and especially with the World Cup coming, having a lot more international opportunities to host sporting events and really position Dallas, not only for sports, but for people to feel welcome coming here and wanting to come here on vacation and those other things. Our other pillar at the Sports Commission is really community-based. So through our major events that we host or through other programming, how can we then give back to our community, to the residents, to the kids that live here, provide them with opportunities that they may not otherwise have if it weren't through sports. So we've worked with the Police Athletic League, Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, veterans organizations, just different things. And so a lot of times it's focused on the events that are coming here. So like Women's Final Four, we're doing a court dedication actually in West Dallas this year. We're to a Parks and Rec facility that didn't have one and has always wanted one. We were able to facilitate that. We'll be going out to some different farms and planting crops and that sort of thing that can, you know, have a lasting legacy outside of just the event period. So, kind of give you that's kind of overview from a sports commission, but I'll talk about, okay, the major events, because a lot of people want to talk about that, not specifically World Cup. So, you know, one of our goals is to ensure we're that premier sports destination, and that means ensuring that those major events come back here on a regular basis. Yes, in 2011, we got a bad rap for some bad weather that we had, and a few other items probably during Super Bowl. So we're still recovering there, but I do think a Super Bowl, you know, probably post 2029, maybe on the horizon here as things flush out. But we were recently awarded in November the 2030 Men's Final Four. That'll be at AT&T Stadium. The 2031 Women's Final Four, again, will be at American Airlines Center. We're having some discussions about another college football playoff national championship game. We'd like to bring another NBA All-Star weekend back, which we hosted in 2010. And obviously the 2026 FIFA World Cup, it doesn't get any bigger than that. People ask me about the Olympics every now and then. That would be great. That's not going to come back here in our life. Well, I won't be here if it does, but not in our lifetime, I don't think, especially with LA hosting in 2028. But in 2026, you know, I think 2026 will be the largest event that this region has ever hosted or will ever host in terms of the magnitude. This FIFA process, I laugh. This one actually started in 2017, but I got to Dallas in December 2008 and June 2009, we received the RFP for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups, the ones that were awarded to Russia and Qatar. For various reasons, they were awarded to Russia and Qatar. But, you know, there was 2 weeks that I stayed at home and my dining room table was full of stuff that we had to get back so that we could submit this bid. We weren't successful, but it really laid the framework for when we received that phone call in July to say, hey, do you want to bid on a World Cup? Yeah, I've been waiting for this for 7 years. We want to host a World Cup. And it gave us that runway we've already done a lot of the work, so it was a little bit easier to start to put together the pieces. But this has been the longest bid process. COVID aided that as well, because things kind of slowed down during those 2 years of the process. But June 2018, FIFA awarded the World Cup to North America. So Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And from the very beginning, it was always that there was going to be an increased field of teams. There'll be 80 matches. 60 of them are guaranteed in the United States, 10 in Mexico, 10 in Canada. Anything quarterfinals and beyond is in the United States. So June of 2022, we were awarded to be the host city. But to get to that point in the bid process, there had to be lots of documents signed. So I get to talk about it a lot, but we have a lot of people that were part of our bid committee. So that means AT&T Stadium, FC Dallas, Dan Hunt and his team. We had our sports commissions, all the cities represented. Not only did we have to sign a stadium agreement, the cities have to sign an actual agreement, but airports had to sign agreements saying that they were going to cooperate and do certain items, but then identify training venues that were out here. And we have about 11 that are under contract all throughout the Metroplex that can really be base camps or training venues during the World Cup. So like host teams may come in a month or so before the World Cup and just use that facility as their training ground. In addition to that, we've been very vocal that we would like to host the International Broadcast Center. So whenever I go out and talk to people about what I do, inevitably somebody was here in 1994 when Dallas hosted the World Cup at Cottville. They'll talk, oh my God, I remember everything. I remember what street corner I was on, everything about the World Cup in '94. Well, Dallas also hosted the International Broadcast Center. And that's basically December through August. 10,000 broadcasters, give or take now because technology broadcasting is changing. That'll be in market, and every match comes through that broadcast center. So we're once again proposing Fair Park for that. So that's another opportunity. When FIFA awarded, they only awarded, hey, you're a host city. So we don't know how many matches, what level of matches, dates, anything like that. Quite honestly, we know June to July, but we don't even know the actual dates of when the World Cup will start. We have a range, but nothing solid. So really where we're at in the process, we know we're a host city. We're in the process of forming what will be our host committee and the other committees that underneath it, whether it's transportation, hospitality, volunteers, legacy projects, which will be a big piece of what we want to do from a give back standpoint to all the communities around the region, fields, equipment, underserved areas, those types of things. So we're in the process of setting that up, but we're still in discussions with FIFA on number of matches. There's some headquarter office opportunities. So actually got a phone call last week. FIFA says we're coming to town Sunday, so we jumped and they were here Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, where when we went to Qatar, we had a group that went to Qatar, really to look at the International Broadcast Center. We learned a lot of things there. I had seen the International Broadcast Center, but a lot of people here who are on the technical side hadn't. So we had a chance to revise our plan, and we submitted it on MLK Day. And they called us the next day, said we'll be there Sunday. So I've been with them Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to really try to flesh out this opportunity for Dallas. So a lot of those things are continuing. One of the items from a World Cup that we spent a lot of time on and had to do a full, I think it's ended up being like 270 pages, was a human rights plan. And really talking about human trafficking, migrant rights, workers' rights, diversity, LGBTQ+, about homelessness and how that could be affected, and what can we start doing now that, and programs that we can put in place, both from a host committee standpoint, but a city and all the cities kind of within the region, from a stadium standpoint, what can we be doing now so that we can have a successful World Cup from a human rights standpoint, but also leave a lasting legacy after through human rights. There's some sustainability work that is just now starting to happen. You should see some rollout of different branding elements. Our legacy committee members will start to put those together to try to identify different areas within communities that may need additional soccer programming, that may need additional fields or a park and rec facility or a different facility that, hey, we need a soccer field for our residents and for our kids to play. So a lot of different elements there. I mentioned I went to Qatar. We spent about 7 days there. As part of the Observer program, you basically see everything, kind of behind the scenes. A lot of walking, about 15, 20 miles a day in these tours that we did. And then we spent 2 extra days on the International Broadcast Center. But I think what we saw in Qatar will be very different than what we'll see here in the United States, just based on proximity. So Qatar was unique in that you could literally go to 4 matches a day because it was only 35, 40 miles distance in between the stadiums. So we won't be able to do that here in the United States. Everything was way more centrally located. But we were still able to have a lot of lessons kind of learned through that, especially those who had never been. I had the fortune of going for a quick 3-day tour in Russia for the finals, and I think ours will be a little bit more reflective, at least the operational piece of that. But it truly is welcoming the world, and will take the entire region to be successful and hopefully at the level that we want. So from an economic impact standpoint, we're estimating over $400 million in economic impact per match. And that's different because you have to realize AT&T Stadium has the highest capacity in terms of ability to sell tickets. At this point, we're still working on capacities and what the floor layout and transition will be, and that'll probably continue to be a work in progress. But as you layer these other things for IBC and headquarters, it's a little bit of a moving target, as is our budget, because we don't know if we're planning for 4 matches, 6 matches plus a final, a semifinal. We've been very vocal that we think Dallas should be the host of the final for a lot of different reasons. Very centrally located. You've got DFW Airport, the connectivity both north and south to Canada, Mexico, east, west, to all of the other host cities here in the United States. The fact that we know how to host major events and we do it pretty well. Just a lot of capacity will definitely, revenue generating opportunities, I think will definitely play in. So I think from a region standpoint, we're all in the same direction. We have great partners at AT&T and AT&T Stadium, and truly to get the agreements and everything else signed quickly, and even city leadership has been really phenomenal to get us to this point. So I don't want to take up all of my time just talking, so I'm assuming that there may be some questions out there, whether it's regard to World Cup or any other sporting event, how the process may work or be different, or any questions that you have.
It sounds like all games would be at AT&T, is that right?
Yeah, so all games would be at AT&T. Originally, we put both Cotton Bowl and AT&T in. When the United Bid Committee, which was basically composed of U.S. Soccer, Mexican Soccer, and Canadian Soccer Federations, when they submitted the bid, they removed Cotton Bowl as a destination. as a match location, mainly because some of the hospitality specifications they didn't meet that FIFA needed. But Cotton Bowl is a base camp and training facility as well. And one of the things that I did mention is there's a fan festival component that goes along with a World Cup. You're talking 35 straight days of a fan festival area, and in Moscow, they had about over 100,000 people each day that attended this. So even if we're not hosting matches in market that day, there's matches somewhere going on in North America, usually that day, especially in the group stage, that you'd still host a fan fest. And that's where people kind of go to watch. There's concerts, there's other local activations, food, drink, those types of things. So still a lot of people, how people travel in for World Cup is either they attach themselves to a team. So once your team is announced, we're going to be until 25, qualify and then figure out where they're playing. People who are coming to get World Cup tickets and travel, especially international, so they'll either attach themselves to a team and then go to the cities where their team is, or they'll pick a location and say, hey, I'm coming to all the matches that are in Dallas, and go from there.
How's this feels like Arlington doesn't get the same respect that other cities do in terms of major events coming back. How does the lack of mass transit and some of that affect groups' willingness to use those facilities?
So transportation is a key thing that we focused on early on, and actually we're already trying to start to put a plan together, because for World Cup, any ticket holder, we have to provide free transportation out to the stadium from a city and host city standpoint. So the fact that there isn't a DART or some sort of transportation to get people out there is a challenge. I don't think we necessarily, I'll say we lose business because of it, but we just know when we are bidding on it that that's something that we have to address and provide some options. So what we did in 2014 for the men's Final Four, and then a few versions of it, and then we actually tested it again this past March, April for WrestleMania. We used TRE and DART, go to the center port station just south of DFW, and then we bus for ticket holders. So that's gonna probably be the solution at this point, or an elevated version of it. But we know when we're competing against Atlanta, Houston, a few of those that do have that transit and have hotels and a stadium and other amenities, ancillary event venues, sometimes it becomes a challenge where we have a stadium over here, but then a convention center downtown, and then you, depending on where your hotels are, we don't want such a regional sprawl that it gets lost, but you just have to put the pieces together. And sometimes it's not our decision. Sometimes it doesn't bother people that, we're a little bit larger or don't have the connectivity.
What do you anticipate ticket prices are going to be for the round robin and the quarter semifinals?
I don't have a clue. They've provided us with a range of here's what previous ones were. I don't know them off the top of my head. I think FIFA's still they're still in the area of determining how many seats are going to be available and sellable in each of the stadiums, just because most NFL stadiums are tight, meaning you got to widen out the edges or have enough room for quarter kicks. So there's some transformation plans that are taking place, and they haven't finalized all the transformation plans yet.
So, Dallas Sports Commission, it's really more greater, it sounds like, given the regional approach. The Dallas mayor's been pretty vocal about Dallas first. Particularly, we ought to have another NFL team, all these different things that pop up. Talk a little bit about navigating that, and I'm sure you have to be somewhat measured because keep everyone happy, but it's interesting to pull off this kind of event with so many self-interests in your lap, perhaps.
Next. Yes, it is. So, for the most part, we'll focus Dallas. But when these regional types of major events come, it still does fall on our shoulders to usually pull off. Major League Baseball All-Star Game, that's pretty much gonna be contained in Arlington, so we let them take it. But when we're hosting a World Cup or NBA or NCAA Men's Final Four, we generally take the lead in putting those bids together and then operating as the local organizing committee. So in those cases, we do have to work with City of Dallas, City of Arlington, and for the most part, on our event side of things, everybody plays nice in the sandbox. They understand the benefits that each of the cities will be, receiving, strengths, weaknesses. Neither one can do it alone because neither one has the facilities that are needed to host an event. So at that point, we've been pretty successful in ensuring that, hey, we're side by side, we're aligned. We just had a call yesterday with certain city departments across Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, and Frisco about an announcement that's coming in March, and trying to get our marketing plan and strategies together and making sure that that mayoral level, city manager level, in the communication that's going to come out about this announcement and topic, that we are aligned because it does benefit the entire region, not just one particular city. Yes. And, we still try to get different professional teams, professional leagues here within Dallas. The renovations that are taking place in the new convention center, the arena downtown, as well as Fair Park, those have a lot of opportunities. It's one of the reasons that we just moved last January, moved our offices out to Fair Park, is because from a Dallas standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity there once those renovations are done.
I was curious, if you go somewhere out in 2030, 2031, or whatever, how do you ensure the venue stays up to speed or renovated or?
Well, that's, we usually, so American Airlines Center is a great example there. 2031, it'll be 30 years old. So we have to, I guess, kind of trust that the city, the owners, that sort of thing, they have to sign venue agreements at the beginning of that bid process too, in submitting. So they're kind of already under contract that they have to be able to provide X. We're very lucky with the owners of our teams, of Mav Stars at American Airlines Center that really control and manage center operating company who manages the building, as well as the Jones family who controls AT&T Stadium. The levels of I guess their professional levels and what they expect of their buildings and facilities, very much in line with what we would want to present to our clients and the types of events. So at this point, I haven't had to worry about that, which is a good thing. It's other cities do.
I was going to kind of piggyback on that. Cuban's been a little vocal about how he thinks the AAC is starting to reach the end of its life or whatever. How engaged are you all to ensure that, no matter the story,
Well, we work with them on a pretty regular basis on more the event side, some of the promotion, marketing. We've engaged in some of the analytics portion of what is the economic impact of some of the games, but it really kind of lends itself to kind of American Airlines Center. We'll have some discussions, but mainly a lot of that lies in the mayor's office.
And going back to the mass transit question, is there any headway on actually making a dark line in between downtown Dallas and the interior world?
I haven't heard on the dark side. I've heard some discussion possibly if that high-speed rail goes from Dallas to Houston. If that actually happens, then the hub where it comes into Dallas would be right by the new convention center in the downtown area. There's possibly been some discussion about, are there offshoots from it that then connect it from Dallas to Arlington to Fort Worth, and actually it continues on through Texas to a certain degree, but I don't have an update on the timing of what that, or if it's still in the plans.
With FIFA, did it raise any questions or, some hesitancy when you were, putting in for AT&T about it not being an outdoor facility, not being a grass surface?
So we have to put grass in.
Oh, really?
Yes, so it won't be turf. Any, FIFA will only play on grass. So there's an entire group that went to Qatar and working with the grass growers. Some experts out of, I believe, one's out of Tennessee, one's out of Michigan. The FIFA has contracted of the system that they have to put in. And we already do this with, we did it with the MEX Tour, and then anytime we host a CONCACAF Gold Cup or any CONCACAF international match, really, where they'll only play on grass. So we have been doing that for 6, 8 so years. But this is kind of a step up for it, especially if we were gonna raise the floor up a little bit. In terms of indoor versus outdoor, I think, so the final in Russia, the game was going toward the end of the game, it starts to rain, major thunderstorm dumping during the award ceremony where I think we're having a umbrella over the president of FIFA as he's awarding the World Cup trophy. So I think they might prefer, especially for some of the larger semifinals, quarterfinals, finals matches, to maybe have that roof covering as a safety, to not have to, shut something down, delay a game, or be in that position.
Do sponsors work with FIFA and then come to the cities, or do some sponsors come directly to y'all? Or have?
Great question.
So there's no beverage restrictions, right?
Yes.
The bigger thing.
So FIFA has their own major sponsors. So like Qatar Airways was one for this Qatar World Cup. I'm sure they're engaging here locally with American or, United or whomever they're gonna end up going with to have that type of sponsorship. Frito-Lay, Coca-Cola is a big one for them. So how this World Cup is a little bit different than others, or other major events that we worked on. As a host committee in a city, we have the ability to sell 10 host city supporter programs. We are in the process of evaluating what that means, or what that value is. Part of the challenge is we don't know how many matches, what level of matches, and all of that. So it's hard to put a value on something that you really don't know. But that would be assets, ability to market with the host committee, our local host committee marks, and that sort of thing through the World Cup, ticket packages, hospitality stuff, and hopefully more than just the World Cup year, but here over these next 2 to 3 years. And we have 10 of those. So in certain instances, it may be a sponsor that FIFA has that wants to do something more within certain markets. Maybe they target Dallas, LA, New York. Okay, we're gonna be a host city supporter also with those host committees. Other times it's gonna be like, okay, we get host city supporter here locally, and they're not a major sponsor of FIFA. And in addition to the host city supporter program, we'll have a donor program. We can have a World Cup donor program that we'll be setting up later this year. And that may or may not incorporate tickets. That may be more the community give. And all of those, or majority of those proceeds would then go to our legacy pieces out within the community.
Yeah, it's a little bit out of left field, but with the growing popularity of F1, and I think they're going to have 3 races in the U.S. this year, has there been any rumors, speculation, talking about one coming to Dallas in the future?
Not on the F1 side. There's been some.
You make it happen.
I can't even get through my emails on a regular day unless I try to get to F1. I'll put it on the list, how about that? Okay.
So, similar, completely different question. What's the latest on the Trinity Forest golf course? I mean, there's so much fanfare build up, links course, and then.
I don't have an update on that, honestly. I have some of the same questions myself. We have been approached, so not obviously near what the PGA is doing up in Frisco, but of hosting other golf tournaments here, smaller, more on the NCAA side, or collegiate side of golf tournaments, but I'm not sure what the overarching future plan is there. Questions? Yeah.
I actually have one question I saved. We'll make it the last
Okay.
question. But who do you think our biggest competitor is in terms of getting the final?
Well, I think if you look at SoFi Stadium, and being the newest stadium out there, capacity, there's some sexiness of, celebrities in Hollywood and what that brings. LA is a top tier, market, sports and entertainment. I don't think you can discount maybe New York either. I would probably say those, yeah. In the first bid the bid that was submitted by the United Bid Committee to FIFA, New York and LA were listed as the ones that were proposed for a final. Atlanta and Dallas were the ones that were submitted as the semifinalist, and then the rest of the stuff kind of spread out. So that's kind of, both LA and Dallas have roofs. Although I was at the national championship game a few weeks ago, and it was raining inside under the roof and in the concourses. So we did point that out at dinner. So don't think that ourselves that we're too proud not to point that out to FIFA at dinner. Like, you did watch that game, right? So we sent you some YouTube of people slipping in the concourses. So.
I like it.
Monica, thank you so much for coming and joining us today, and we got a little present for you as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Awesome.
One more round of applause for Monica. Monica, I think if you can stay for a minute, there might be some more questions, but
No
I think
problem.
we want to get a picture before you go.
Sure.
With that, I'll turn it back over to Carla to close us out.
All right, great to see everybody this morning. Hope y'all have a great weekend. Please, if you are interested in signing up for our community service project, that's coming up the 12th, is that correct? Please reach out to Mr. Huddleston or myself. Be on the lookout. We'll have, some sort of sign of genius going out on that. But it's a great way to jump in, on a smaller scale and get involved and get back directly to that. So with that, I hope everybody has a great week. Monica, thank you again for being here. Nathan, thank you for setting us up this morning in the way that only you can. And with that, y'all have a great weekend.